You came just for my class, right?
Yeah.
Oh.
We're saying Pixar, right?
Where's your friend then?
She's coming.
Today?
Yeah.
The friend.
Yeah.
Sure. All right, that's sweet. All right, so today we'll be reading from the Spotless Prana, Srimad Bhagavatam, 4th canto. We just finished chapter 28. So today we'll be starting a new chapter, chapter 29. Talks between Narada and King Rajani Badhi. And we'll do the first text today. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
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 Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Narayanam Namaskritya
Narayana Namaskritya.
Nanam Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam
Devyam Saraswatim Vyasam.
Tato Jayamudiraye Nashta Preshwa Bhadrishu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttam Shloke Bhakti Bhavati Naishtaki. Okay. Alright, text 1. Prachini Bahirvacha
Prachini Bhagavatam
Bhagavaste Vachosmadhir
Bhagavatam Sevachosmani
Na Samyagava Gamyate
Nasamyadavadanyate
Kavyastave Jananti
Navasvarijanati
Navayam Karma Mohitaha
Navayam Karma Mohita
Prachinna Bhari Uvacha
Prachibhayurvacha
Bhagavaste Vachosmabhir
Bhagavatam Sevachosmani
Na Samyagava Gamyate
Nasamyadavadanyate
Kavayasta Vijananti
Navayastadvijanati
Navayam Karma Mohitaha
Navayam Karma Mohita
Prachina Bahir Uvacha
Prachibhayurvacha
Bhagavaste Vachosmabhir
Bhagavatam Sevachosmani
Na Samyagava Gamyate
Nasamyadavadanyate
Kavayasta Vijananti
Navayastadvijanati
Navayam Karma Mohita Bolo
Prachibhayurvacha
Prachina Bahir Uvacha
Bhagavatam Sevachosmani
Bhagavaste Vachosmabhir
Nasamyadavadanyate
Na Samyagava Gamyate
Navayastadvijanati
Kavayasta Vijananti
Navayam Karma Mohita
Navayam Karma Mohita Prachina Bahir Uvacha Bhagavaste Vachosmabhir Na Samyagava Gamyate Kavayasta Vijananti Navayam Karma Mohita. You want to try it, Lakshmi? Prachina Bahir Uvacha Bhagavaste Vachosmabhir Na Samyagava Gamyate Kavayasta Vijananti Navayam Karma Mohita. Alright, synonyms. Prachina Bahir Uvacha King Prachina Bahir. Oh, said. Bhagavan, oh my Lord, Te, your, Vacha, words, Asmabhi, by us, Na, never, Samyak, perfectly, Avagamyate, are understood, Kavaya, those who are expert, Tat, that, Vijananti, can understand, Na, never, Vayam, we, Karma, by fruit of activities, Mohita, enchanted. Alright, translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada Shil Prabhupada Ki Jai. King Prachini replied, My dear Lord, we cannot appreciate completely the purport of your allegorical story of King Puranjana. Actually, those who are perfect in spiritual knowledge can understand. But for us, we are overly attached to fruit of activities. To realize the purpose of your story is very difficult. Please repeat after me. King Prachini replied, My dear Lord, we cannot appreciate completely the purport of your allegorical story of King Puranjana. Actually, Those who are perfect in spiritual knowledge
Those who are perfect in spiritual knowledge
can understand.
can understand.
But for us,
For us,
we are overly attached
who are really attached
to fruitive activities.
to fruitive activities,
To realize the purpose of your story
Realize the purpose of the story.
is very difficult.
very difficult.
Okay, purport. In Bhagavad Gita 7:13, Lord Krishna says, Devir gunnamayer bhavayer evhi sarvamidam jagat mohitam navjanati mamebhya paramavyayam. Deluded by the three modes, goodness, passion, and ignorance, the whole world does not know me, who am above the modes and inexhaustible. Generally, people are enchanted by the three modes of material nature, and therefore practically unable to understand that behind all materialistic activities in the cosmic manifestation is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna. Generally, when people are engaged in sinful or pious activities, they are not perfect in knowledge or devotional service. That allegorical story narrated by Narada Muni to King Badhishman is especially meant to engage conditioned souls in devotional service. The entire story, narrated allegorically, is easily understood by a person in devotional service. For those who are engaged not in devotional service, but in sense gratification, cannot perfectly understand it. That is admitted by King Badhishman. This 29th chapter describes that by too much attachment for women, one becomes a woman in the next life. But a person who associates with the Supreme Personality of Godhead or his representative becomes free from all material attachments and is thus liberated. Om Gyanadhamarandhasya Ginanjana Shalakaya Chakshuvamidam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namah Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupakadamayam Narati Swaparantikam He Krishna Karuna Sindha Dinabadha Jagatpate Gopasha Gopaka Kanta Rara Kanta Namostate Tapta Kanchana Gourangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhano Sundhadevi Pranamami Hare Pre Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhu Evacha Patitina Bhavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Namo Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Niti Namane Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharane Nivishesha Shonivali Pashatire Shatarane Jaya Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasadi Gaura Bhaktavrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Okay, so now we're back between the discussion between King Prachini Bahi and Narada Muni. We just heard him give this whole pastime in life of King Puranjana and how he turned into a woman into the next life. And we just finished up that story in the last chapter. Now King Prachinabhari is telling him that I cannot understand this. That, you told me all this, but I'm too attached to fruit activities and not in devotional service that it's hard for me to understand the purport of what you were just explaining to me. So we see that oftentimes in spiritual practices, things are said in a different mode from time to time. we see that in different practices, there could be parables or stories that have a deeper meaning behind them. We see this in the teachings of Jesus, Buddha, and various other teachers throughout the world in their spiritual paths. It's because oftentimes we're not prepared or at the don't have the ability to quite understand these things on a deeper level. But through telling stories like this, you can lay down bigger truths and bypass the false ego of a person oftentimes. So instead of telling King Prachini Bahari straight up about everything he was doing was wrong and that this is what's going to happen to you, he does it in a more indirect way of telling this whole story in which King Prachini Bahari could understand that this story was actually about him and this would all happen to him. So similarly, the Vedas are really difficult to understand. And most people can't quite understand the reason behind the Vedas or the purpose behind the Vedas. And because of this, we have the Puranas and other Vedic literatures that bring out the essence of these, bring out the essence of what the Vedas teach. It gives us nice stories and histories of Krishna and his devotees in the past in a way that we can understand these truths. Because for most people who try to study the Vedas, they'll end up coming to the conclusion of like impersonalism, for example. They don't quite get the purport, the meaning behind the Vedas. So we even see this with the Bhagavad Gita itself. Krishna himself says that Raja Vidya, Raja Guhyam, that this knowledge is the king of education and the most secret of secrets. Now, how could this exactly be? Because, you know, the Bhagavad Gita is widely known. It's been widely translated by various different people, various different scholars. It's even taught in some universities. But even though it's so open, how is this the most secret of secrets? The secret's supposed to be something very few people understand. So how could this be? Well, ultimately, in the biggest sense, that's because it can only be understood by a devotee. And you can only understand it by the mercy of a devotee. Otherwise, these things will remain hidden. Krishna also states that Bhaktya Mam Avjnati Yavan Yaschasmi Tattvataha. This is coming from 1855 of the Bhagavad Gita, in which he says, one can understand me as I am, as the Supreme Personality of Godhead, only by devotional service. So, Krishna says in so many places, me, mom, he says, but you still have people that will say Krishna's just a great personality, great historical personality. Or they'll say, well, Krishna, you know, he's talking about the eternal within him. He's not saying surrender unto him, but that which is within him. And they come up with all these different things, all these different understandings. They might even say, well, Krishna means dark, which is true. And they say, and dark means that he's unknown. And then they'll go into this whole thing and they'll give their whole commentary about how Krishna is really just the whole unknown. But if he's not unknown, then how do you know so much to be able to speak about him or be able to write a commentary about him? Because you don't know him. So it can only be understood by his devotees, as Krishna says within the Bhagavad Gita itself. He also says that Bhogashwarya prasaktanam daya pahrita chetasam Yavasayatmika buddhi samadhao na vidhyate. That in the minds of those who are too attached to sense enjoyment and material opulence and who are bewildered by such things, the resolute determination for devotional service to Supreme Lord does not take place. So this is kind of an echo of today's verse where King Prachinabhari says that those who are in perfect spiritual knowledge can understand, but for us who are overly attached to fluid activities, to realize the purpose of your story is very difficult. So if you're too attached to the senses, you're too attached to your body, you're too attached to all these other things other than Krishna, then you're ultimately not going to have that determination to perform devotional service. You're going to have the determination to fulfill your sense gratification, your sensual desires, because that's going to be your immediate gratification. Whereas devotional service, you're going to have to give up this idea of gratifying my senses for my own enjoyment. And, it's going to come with its own difficulties and austerities, waking up early, chanting the names, this, that. Most of us are not wanting to do that. Most of us want to be lazy. We don't want to live a regulated life. We want full freedom, right? So it's very difficult for such people to really take up devotional service. And also, Krishna also says that Naham Paksha Saravasya Yoga Maya Samavitaha Muro Yam Navjnati Lokamamajam Aveyam. That I'm never manifest to the full and intelligent. For them, I'm covered by my eternal potency, and therefore they do not know that I'm unborn and infallible. So we see that one could be the greatest scholar materially. One could have multiple PhDs or so many of these things. They could be really super intelligent. But with all of that material intelligence, it still does not qualify you to understand the Lord. The Lord's not cheap like that. It's not that by me, all these various subject matters that have to do with this material world and only the material world, that I'm going to be able to understand the Lord. If one doesn't want to believe in the Lord, they can remain covered by Maya, by his potency. Because most people with knowledge, they try to come to the conclusion that there is no God. And therefore, Krishna is also given that intelligence. You don't want to believe that there's a God? Well, here's all your so-called proof that God doesn't exist. But as soon as you want to know who God is, he'll give you all the proof that he does exist. Either way, he can make whatever reality you want in your head to be true. He can make that true for you specifically. And you'll believe it, whether it's right or it's wrong. Because Krishna says that Ye yatam mam prapadyante tam sataiva bhajamyaham mamavat manuvartante manushya partha sarvasha. That as all surrender unto me, I reward them accordingly. Everyone follows my path in all respects, O son of Pritha. So whatever way you want to relate with the Lord, he's reciprocating to that extent. If you want it to be that there is no Lord, okay, fine, there's no Lord. If you want it to be, well, he exists, but I want to do my own thing, okay, there's that. If you want it to be, oh, great, wonderful Lord, give me this, give me that, where he's more of your provider and you just worship him because he's God, there's that. But if you want to even go deeper and you want to worship him and more deeper as like a best friend, as a parent, as a lover, whatever that may be, he can do that too. It's up to you. What kind of relationship do you want to have with the Lord, and how much do you really want to know about the Lord? Because he'll make that available to you. He'll extend himself only as much as you're willing to extend yourself to him. But as long as you want to not know him, he'll make that happen. We came here because we wanted to do our own thing and we wanted to forget him. And for that, He fulfills that desire and gives us Maya so that we can forget him. But going back to the idea that we need to have someone teach us this, we need to have someone in knowledge of this. Because who are we to truly come to the idea and understanding of Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, on our own? Because in the conditioned state, we have imperfect senses, we have the propensity to cheat, we're going to make mistakes, and we're bound to be illusioned. So, just our senses alone, which is how we generally perceive the world and what's true or not, are not incomplete in themselves. If I turn off the light, you can't necessarily see anything in the room. When you look at the stars, you're only seeing so many of the stars, but you can't see all the planets or the stars beyond those that what you see. So many things. There's lights that we can't perceive. So many things. And so many things that we used to believe that we realized weren't true. And then we'll see that a lot of things that we thought were true now won't be true later. So there's so many things. So how do we really know on our own? So we had to approach someone that can really help give us this knowledge, because in Shweta Upanishad 6.23, it said that Yasya deve para bhaktir yatha deve tatha gurau tasyaite katita hyartha prakashanta mahatmanaha. That only unto those great souls who have implicit faith in both the Lord and the spiritual master are all the importance of Vedic knowledge automatically revealed. So if we have faith in the Lord and we have faith in a person, a bona fide guru, then all these things will become revealed to us from within and from without. So one needs to approach a bona fide guru. Krishna also states in the Bhagavad Gita 4:11 that Tavidhi pranipatena pariprasnena sevaya parikshanti te jnanam jnanena tattvadarshanaha. Just try to learn the truth by approaching the spiritual master. Inquire from him submissively and render service unto him. The self-realized soul can impart knowledge unto you because they have seen the truth. So we have to approach someone who is in knowledge. Just like anything you want to do, even in the material world, if you want to become a doctor, if you want to become a guitar player, if you want to become so many things, you have to approach one person or another to be able to really get a deeper understanding. You may have some preliminary understanding of certain things, but to really have a good understanding and a deep understanding of things, you're going to have to approach someone who knows. And so this is Krishna's great merciful gift on us, is that he gives down people and a parampara. So he teaches someone, that person teaches someone, that person who's been taught teaches another person. And this goes down in the line, neither subtracting nor adding anything, just simply repeating. So you see, like here, for example, we quote the Bhagavad Gita or other Vedic literature using the Sanskrit itself. Or even for like Muslims, for example, they do like the same thing, but with their Arabic in the Quran. So we're trying to keep and preserve word for word. And there's a fact-checking system of Guru, Sadhu, and Shastra. So Shastra has to remain as Shastra. It cannot be changed. Otherwise, you're saying that's imperfect and that needs to be changed. And it wasn't made to be so. It's emanating from Krishna, so it's eternally perfect if properly understood by a bona fide personality. Then you have a guru, and you have the sadhus, or saintly people. So if these three things are in line with their words, then it helps keep that purity. It keeps that line going down and up, straight all the way up back to Krishna's mouth himself. So we must approach someone who is in that line, who can help us understand this knowledge. And we should inquire from him, because that's the point of human life. This is the point. Ato Brahma Jigyasa, that now is the time to inquire. This is the only form that you really have to be able to do so, because if we're not asking deeper questions, then we're living at the basic level of life of eating, sleeping, mating, and defending. The animals are doing this, the insects are doing this, the plants are doing this, the germs are doing this. So many species of life are doing this. But the human form, you can inquire. You can inquire, why am I going through this? What is the meaning behind all this? Is there something bigger behind this? So now is the time to inquire, now that we have the human form. So if we're not asking these, we're just eating, sleeping, mating, defending, acting as animals. So whatever we are doing now is preparing us for our next body. If we think and act like an animal, then why not receive an animal body instead of a human body? Human body is meant for so much more, but if you're going to be at the base level, eating, sleeping, mating, and defending, and you're going to have this type of mentality that's more like an animal and whatever, then why not receive that body that you're so desiring? Even though you might not be directly desiring that kind of body, though your actions prove otherwise, your thoughts and your mindset prove otherwise. But you can prepare a spiritual body by acting on a spiritual platform, which never deteriorates. So we see within the story that King Puranjana, before he died, he was focused on his wife. He was deeply focused on her, and because of that, he received a woman's body in his next life and became Queen Vidadapi. And we also see that with Maharaja Bharata, he took care of a deer while he was out in the forest doing his austerities. And he got so entranced by this deer and taking care of this deer that slowly, he wasn't doing his austerities as much as he was. He wasn't so determined. And by the time that he died, he took on a deer body. So he became one. So wherever your mind's focused and wherever actions you're performing, you're preparing that next body. Do we want another birth though? Do we want disease, old age, and ultimately death that come with receiving another body? Okay, I guess Lolita would love that. Do we really want that though? I mean, growing up, when you're little, you can't do so much. You're like under so much supervision that you're not really free to do whatever, at least if you have good parents. And then, you get sick. Nobody likes to get sick. And then you get older, at first when you're like in your 20s, 30s, it's like, oh, great, I'm finally out the house. I can do what I want. I could be the person that I've always wanted to be. But, even then, in that sense, you still have to go to work. You have to follow the law. You can't necessarily do all the things that you want to do. You have certain responsibilities. Maybe you're worried about your self-image, or maybe your friends have treated you wrong or people treat you wrong. There's so many different things. But even then, you get older and then you slowly, your body starts to deteriorate. Now maybe your vision starts to go away. Maybe your hearing's not as good. Maybe your bones are like Krispies. They snap, crackle, and pop. Uh, all these things, and then ultimately, you got death looking at you. Um, we all face that. Every living entity, it's born, it grows, it reproduces, it maintains for some time, it dwindles, and then eventually it goes away. Whether that's a plant, insect, human, or otherwise, um, a living entity has to go through all these different phases and reach death. So that's waiting on us all, regardless of who you are, regardless of your gender, your race, your beliefs. We're all going to face death. But really, it's up to you on how you end up dying. Are you going to die engrossed in thoughts of this material body and this material world? Or are you going to die having spiritualized your thoughts and your activities? Um, Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita, Tasmat sarveshu kaleshu anusmara yudhya cha mayar pita manobudhir mam avaisya sangshaya. Therefore, Arjuna, you should always think of me in the form of Krishna, and at the same time carry out your prescribed duties of fighting. With your activities dedicated to me and your mind and intelligence fixed on me, you will attain me without doubt. So Krishna is making a promise here that this is the way that you're going to attain me. You know, if you're going to go out and do your own thing, gratify your senses, you know, go to the clubs, go to the parties, be in trance with the food or the women, the intoxication, whatever your vice may be, you're not going to attain me. You're going to attain another birth. You're going to stay here in the material world. But he says that, you know, carry out, you should think of me. So, you know, think of Krishna. We all think of things. So, transcendentalizing that, think of Krishna. We got so many books, so many songs, so many films, so many different things about Krishna that we could practice to learn, think about him on a constant, and carry out your prescribed duties of fighting. Most of us are going to have some type of duty, whether that's as a grihasta out in the world, doing your duty as a parent or as a worker for this or that, or being in the temple as a brahmachari or otherwise, doing your duties there of carrying out this service like deity worship or class programs or so many different things. Either way, you're carrying out some type of duty. And so we should do that as an offering. If you're a grahasta, then carry out that duty as an offering. You know, raise your kids in Krishna consciousness, help your partner out in their Krishna consciousness. If you can and you're able to, donate your money to the temple, do service at the temple. Just do whatever you can for Krishna. And if you're already at the temple, then it's a bit easier because pretty much all your activities are surrounded around that. You know, we get up, Mangal Arti, we come, we sing, we have class, we have our services for the day, we have our programs for the evening, we have a set schedule. So either way, everything is ultimately coming to carrying out those things for Krishna. And so Krishna says, with your activities dedicated to me and your mind and intelligence fixed on me, you will attain me without a doubt. So, you know, if your intelligence and your mind is focused on all these mundane things, what's the use of it? Ultimately, you're going to have to take another birth in which you forget all those things, and they amounted to nothing ultimately, because you had to get another birth. You forgot all those things, and you had to start back at square one. Whereas we can think about Krishna with our mind and our intelligence and so forth, and we'll attain him. But also, you know, you can go back home. No one forces you to stay here besides yourself. If you want to act on the platform of the spirit, you can go back to the spiritual world. You can go back home. But if you want to enjoy the body and its senses, you can stay and attempt to enjoy so many varieties of bodies with so many varieties of senses that come with those bodies. But ultimately, you'll never be fully satisfied because you're still, taking care of the cage, polishing it up, maybe buying a new cage or this or that, but you're neglecting the bird within the cage. So the bird's dying. The soul within the body is dying because you're not doing what it's meant for. You'll never be satisfied being someone that you're not. So the choice is yours. Ultimately, in the end, you'll come back. The question is, how long will you prolong that? You're going to end up having to suffer so much in this material world that even if it takes millions and millions and more births and millions and more creations, eventually you're going to come to the point that you realize that this is not what you want. But Krishna is so merciful, he gives you the choice. He gives you the free will. Do you want to come back home this life? Or do you want to prolong it however long that's going to be? Do you want to keep suffering, or do you want to just come back? You have that choice. The door's open. You just have to walk out. That's up to you. You have that ability to choose whether you want to stay here or not through your actions. Because to act on the spiritual platform means to act as a spirit. So what does the spirit do? You hear so many times that people say, I'm spiritual, but what does that exactly mean? Does it mean that I got crystals and, I'm smoking weed and I listen to so-called spiritual music and this and that? No. Spiritual means acting on the platform of the spirit, but you have to know what is the position of a spirit. Some people also think that the spirit is just nothingness. Which ultimately we see that even in this human body, it's very difficult to do that. Very difficult. Because it's not natural for us. The spirit has a personality. If we're showing personality in this material world, and God's supposed to be the source of this material world, then ultimately personality would also have to come from him. Because he cannot give something that he doesn't have within himself. So even personality is coming from him. Even form is coming from him. So Krishna has a form. He has a personality. He's not just this abyss of nothingness or voidness. He has a form. He has a personality. Which means that you also have a form and you also have a unique individual personality. And so that means you also have activities. So the activities is what we call Sanatan Dharma, the eternal occupational position of the soul. So what exactly is that? As described in the literatures as devotional service, loving devotional service unto the Supreme Lord. Because if you really love someone, then what do you do for them? You serve them. It's not about what do I get out of it. It's about what can I do to satisfy you. The Lord, we've practically spat in his face. I'm sure in some life, whether this one or another, we've even cursed at God. We've blasphemed him. So many different things. But Krishna is still right there by us, constantly trying to get us, constantly loving us just the same, if not even more with each time that passes. More and more, that love is constantly increasing. He's constantly wanting us back, regardless of what we've done, regardless of who we are, regardless of where we came from in this life or the last life, regardless of all these things. He's not seeing these external coverings or our actions or any of these things. He's seeing you for you within. Even when no one else sees that everyone's judging you for who you are, what you look like, what you've done, Krishna is still seeing you for who you are eternally. And that's love. Love has no expectations. Otherwise, it's a business still. I love you because you do this for me. Or I love you because you do that for me. This is not love. Closest thing that we see in the material world that comes to this is a mother's love for their kid generally. Mother raises her kid, and like my Guru Maharaj, he was giving a talk last night in Sierra Vista, and he was saying that, mother, she does all these things, changes your diapers, feeds you this and that, but she's not expecting you to reciprocate in that way back. Main thing is she wants you happy in whatever you may end up doing with your life or doing with yourself. So this is Bhakti Yoga. This is the art of eternal love. Yoga means to reconnect, to link up. So this is a way of reconnecting back to the Lord through loving devotional service, which is the means and the goal. We start off learning devotional service, and the goal is to have that devotional service. To give a little bit of encouragement for this, Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita 240 that in this endeavor there is no loss or diminution, and a little advancement on this path can protect one from the most dangerous type of fear. So even if you sincerely give yourself to this movement for 1 week, 1 day, you sincerely give it your all. You're chanting very sincerely, you're serving, you're doing all these things. There's no loss in that. Anything in this material world you do, you'll lose. You can maintain all your friends, nice relationships, your family, nice relationships. You can have a nice house, nice car, so many of these things, but all these things will be taken away from you. And you'll have to start back over again. All this knowledge you get in this life about all these material things, you'll lose all that. You'll have to learn it all again, or you'll learn something else. But devotional service, wherever you leave off in this life, even if you don't become a full-on devotee, full-time giving it your everything, if you just give it for that little bit, wherever you left off, you'll pick up right where you left off in your next life. That's Krishna's mercy. Also, Krishna says that Kantaya pratijanihi name bhaktya panashyati, that, O son of Kuti, declare a bodhi that my devotee never perishes. So you'll never perish. Whatever your endeavor is for Krishna, he'll fully support you in every way. Even if it looks hard or looks horrible, everything's ultimately all blessings for you. If you're doing everything for him, he's not going to, or as much as you can for him, he's not going to do wrong by you. Also, this is a famous one from the Srimad Bhagavatam 1.5.17, where it is stated that if someone gives up his occupational duties and works in Krishna consciousness, and it falls down on account of not completing his work, what loss is there on his part? And what can one gain if one performs his material activities perfectly? So again, we're seeing this, that even if you mess up, you didn't do everything for Krishna, but you did what you could do. You might not have been able to give everything, but you did the best that you could. Or even if you didn't give it your best, but you still put something for Krishna, you're still going to be benefited ultimately. So going back to this whole thing from today's verse and purport, Krishna is so merciful that for us to be able to understand these deeper truths, he gives these different stories or histories that have happened so that we can understand these truths. And if we're not unable to understand those, we have bona fide personalities that can help us to understand those in the cyclic succession. And we should be aware of what we're doing with this life. It's not just one life, it's many lives that you can have. So if you want to stay in this material world, if you want to take another body, whether it's animal, female, male, that race, this country, that country, Krishna will fulfill that. If you're real gung-ho about I'm American, I'm Indian, I'm Nepali, I'm this, I'm that, you're focused on that in the deeper sense more than Krishna, you can be reborn as that. Or if you want to act like an animal, you can receive an animal's body. But if you want to act on the spiritual platform, you can go back to the spiritual world. The choices are all up to you. You have the free will to choose this. Krishna states this time and time again. He gives you the knowledge so that you can make better decisions. Just like, back in the day, people used to think that smoking was okay, smoking cigarettes. My great-grandma used to be one of those. But then eventually they started coming out with, well, smoking gives cancer, this, and that. And right away, my grandparents gave up smoking. So because they were uninformed, they were committing things that were ultimately dangerous for them. But as soon as they were informed, they had the ability to decide, okay, you know what, this isn't good for me, I should stop. So similarly, we don't know, we're in ignorance of so many things. But Krishna is so merciful, he gives us the knowledge so we can make better decisions with our lives. So I think we'll end here. If there's any questions or comments. Yes, Kirtaneshwar.
Interesting thing I realized is that Vidarbha is the kingdom of King Bhishmaka, who's the father of Rukmini. And one of Rukmini's names is Vidarbhi. I just thought that was interesting. Vidarbhi is the name of Rukmini. And Bhishmaka is the king. And I remember, because I was reading the 10th canto, and it said, that Rukmini is from the kingdom of Vidarbha. And I looked, so one of her names is Vidarbhi. That's one of the names of Rukmini. I just thought that was interesting.
So, thank you.
Vidarbhi.
So that's why it's called Bhishman, huh?
Bhishma?
That was stated somewhere here in the purport as I think he's calling Pranjna. Yeah, or my bad, Badhishman, King Badhishman.
That's talking about King Prachin Bharat. I'm saying that Vidarbha, that's the kingdom that Rukmini is from. Her father's name is Bhishmaka.
Okay, I see. All right, anyone else? Okay, then I think we'll end here. Grantaraya Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Srimad Prabhupada ki jai.
You say it twice.
I know this is